I'm going to bring the panel in, Sara Gonzales, Steve Deace, Auron MacIntyre. I am just flabbergasted by that. My expectations were incredibly low. And going into this, I did not expect him to have a good performance. I thought he would lose. I said it before. I can't believe what I just saw. That was... It almost is beyond, we do conservative media here. And by the way, we love having you. BlazeTV.com, the code is debate. Join our community. We've been talking about this issue forever. I know you've been talking about it with your friends and family forever. But at times, because we talk about these issues so often, I almost wonder, do we overdo it? Do we go too far? I don't know, we all agree with each other, and maybe we hear each other talking about it and it influences us, and we go too far, and maybe we are caught up in some sort of rhetorical circle where we over-exaggerate these things. This is an instance of where we've undersold. We've undersold how bad this guy is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Watching him today was one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen in politics, and I'm terrified for our country, Sarah.
Yeah, I don't think it can be overstated enough how terrifying this is. To the extent that, by the way, in reading social media, we have people like Casey Hunt, the woman on CNN, who was kicking off Trump spokespeople because they dared say CNN is biased against Donald Trump. And you even had her saying, all of the Democrats I'm talking to right now are beside themselves watching this performance of Joe Biden. She mentioned his voice. She mentioned his mouth being wide open. I mean, they're openly saying this now. I read Nicholas Kristof over at the New York Times. This is the New York Times said, I have a bad feeling about how the debate is beginning. Trump is speaking nonsense on many topics, but he's projecting energy. Biden is more substantive, but in voice and manner playing into the Trump narrative that he's too old for the job. After that, I wish Biden would reflect on this debate performance and then announce his decision to withdraw from the race, throwing the choice of Democratic nominee to the convention. This is a Democrat at the New York Times who is tweeting out he hopes that Joe Biden withdraws his nomination. I mean, this is how bad that it's gotten. And I got to tell you, the double box that they had on CNN showing the difference in real time of Donald Trump standing there confidently saying his answer and Joe Biden staring off to the side wherever the hell he was looking at could not have been worse for Joe Biden. The contrast was so clear. Choose your fighter, America. Which one will it be?
Yeah, occasionally they would cut away from that, but most of the time, I will say most of the time they kept it.
When he started to drool, they finally cut away.
When the actual liquid is coming out of his mouth. We did, if you were watching the debate here, we did get our feed cut from CNN a couple times. I don't know exactly what happened there, but I don't know, Steve. I mean, we can talk about this. Maybe this isn't the number one priority. I thought CNN's debate was actually pretty well done. I thought they got us the information we needed out of that. But put this thing into perspective. What did we just watch?
Maybe the most impactful presidential debate in American history. They did do a good job, about as good a job as they're probably capable of. There is a much better chance the 25th Amendment will be invoked than Joe Biden will be reelected. He will absolutely not be reelected after tonight. Wow. Democrats are, in my view, based on what we saw here tonight, I mean, just let me give you one basic example. Just look at the nuts and bolts of politics. Let's just set aside partisan differences and look at it like we were evaluating politicians as a job. Like we have competing networks, but we can evaluate, how the people at another conservative network are doing just in their job. Sure. Okay. You have a few talking points, both guys do, that they have to make sure they get in and stress right away. It's the narrative of their campaigns and parties. We're 45 minutes into this election before Joe Biden calls Trump a convicted felon. 45 minutes in. Now that is political malfeasance enough, okay? But this comes after 44 minutes of tens of millions of people watching, normies watching. The fact that the president's dementia is escalating and it's not a troll or a joke. And I remember a high-level pollster buddy of mine during the primary, as I was going through some of the primary data with him, and he said, the biggest problem your buddy DeSantis has, I see right now, is his narrative is Trump cannot win a general election. And I would have said that in March, April, but we just had a moment where Joe Biden fell down the stairs of Air Force One. And that my polling is showing that's kind of penetrated now to beyond just the MAGA voter. The average Republican is like, oh, yeah, Biden can't win an election. So Trump's going to look a lot more electable, right? This happened tonight to normie America. That moment happened tonight. Joe Biden fell down the stairs over and over and over and over again. That happened to normie America. Now, I don't know what a 1932 level election loss looks like in today's balkanization of America. Like, I'm not sure that any Republican could still win Connecticut or, for example. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. But whatever 1932 is, it took the Republican Party 20 years to recover from Herbert Hoover. 20 years. And that's when narratives and stuff moved a lot slower and everything than they do now. And it wasn't until the country's greatest war hero since Washington, Eisenhower, was their nominee, that party came up out of the pit that Hoover dug for it to win the presidency again. The entire Republican coalition was reset after the Depression, and so was the Democratic coalition. And the FDR coalition has largely stood up since 1932. They are looking at the resetting of their coalition. What you're going to see after tonight. And I know, man, I hate the brothers be flipping narrative that we sell people because most of the time it's BS for clicks, okay, and ratings. But when I worked on things like marriage amendments, and when we put them up in states like California, black and brown people voted for those amendments in droves. When we put issue-based referendums on the ballot that doesn't make them vote Republican but vote for our issues, they tend to side with us substantially. So what this would do, potentially, is a lot of voters who would not cross a partisan picket line to vote our way, but might agree with us on issues, watch that tonight and they're like, we can't have that. And if you allow them to give them an excuse, first to fight for their own conscience and then to kind of go against their own subculture, if you give them an excuse to cross the partisan picket line once because of the urgency of the country, they may not come back. And if you are a Democrat right now, you are in danger tonight of your party being reduced to whoever watches The View and MSNBC. Basically just nothing other than Karens across America. And everybody else is like, this is nuts. You cannot give people an easy reason to vote for your opponents. And tonight they have it. They will move. They must move. John King is already talking about on CNN as we speak, an open public revolt being organized by Democrats that he has to go. He will not be the nominee. It was even worse than I could have possibly imagined. From the moment he walked out. It's a dangerous time. Even if you thought this was a great night for Trump, but it's 7 months, guys, until he can be president. The rest of the world just saw what we have sitting in the White House right now. That guy's not getting reelected. We got to be more concerned about whether to invoke the 25th Amendment or not.
My God. Auron, what did you think?
I mean, obviously, you're in a scenario where it would have been easier to count the number of sentences Joe Biden completed than the ones that he didn't.
Yes.
And Steve's exactly right to point out that this could be a sea change when it comes to presidential debates. We all think of Kennedy and Nixon as being the one that really defined the way that television changed debates in the United States. And this could be the next one when you see the display of senility. I mean, when that side-by-side happening, it looked like Joe Biden was going through the phases of William Dafoe during Spider-Man. When he was monologuing, he could barely hold his face together. He's staring off into the middle of nowhere. Everyone on the left has to be terrified watching that performance. And you really have to wonder, can they make the pivot at this point? We pointed out that CNN seemed to be a little restrained in this debate. They almost seem to be handing Biden to Trump in some ways. And at this moment, with Biden being so weak and CNN not fighting Trump the way we expected to, I have to start to wonder, do these people want Trump? Or are they really just offering Biden up to him? I mean, I try not to play 5D chess with these people. I just assume that they're evil and stupid. But seriously, you have to wonder when you're put in this scenario, CNN doesn't just hand Trump a gimme for nothing. So what's going on here?
Yeah, and I gotta say that when we got that clip that we just watched with Glenn, the muted microphone was powerful. Like the fact that it was just dead silence, and he was looking for note cards that weren't there.
That's Auron's point about 1960. The famous trope about that debate is those who listened on radio thought Nixon won overwhelmingly, and those who watched on TV with Nixon's 5 o'clock shadow and nervous tension thought Kennedy won. That's exactly what Auron was just talking about. The side by side, as you said from the beginning, from the very jump, was devastating and unrecoverable.